The Varsity Sports Show is proud to partner with Sabercat Athletics. That's right, the Scottsdale Saguaro Sabercats are on the Varsity Sports Show. Join the varsity team as we cover the Cats during the Sabercat Report on Saturday morning's Varsity Sports Show on AM 1060 KDUS Arizona, featuring players, coaches, and commentary. Look out for live stream coverage of Saguaro Sabercat sporting events by going to YouTube and searching for Varsity Sports Show, then click that subscribe button to stay up to date. The Saguaro Sabercats are here.
This is Coach Lucas Ramirez, and you are listening to the home of the Saguaro Sabercats, the Varsity Sports Show on AM 1060 KDUS.
Your caddy, Ray Adams, takes you beyond the 18th hole on Saturday mornings with Great American Golf from 6 to 7 a.m. on KDUS AM 1060.
The Varsity Sports Show presents the Sabercat Report with Saguaro High School baseball coach Joe Mickey. And now, here's the Sabercat Report.
Welcome back to the Varsity Sports Show here on AM 1060 KDUS Arizona. Vince DeLisio here, and that is the intro to our Sabercat Report with Saguaro High School Sabercats head baseball coach Joe Mickey. Coach Mickey, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Vince. How are you this morning?
Oh, I'm great, Coach. I'm great. Hoping you are doing well. You had quite a week, and with that, I wanted to introduce the broadcast team for the baseball games out there. Ryan Sikora, a senior at Pinnacle High School, who is going to be enrolling in the Cronkite program out at ASU this fall, and a current Cronkite student, Sammy Rivera. Gentlemen, Ryan, Sammy, how are you?
How are you, Vince?
Oh, great, Ryan. All right, Sammy. Ryan, take it away, man.
How are you today, Coach? I'm good. Thank you.
So I just wanted to ask you about you had a tough loss, obviously, to Thunderbird during the week after what was a good win against Seton Catholic. How do you kind of bounce back from that again?
Yeah, it's one of those games that we had a lot of chances. I think we stranded 12 base runners in that game. You kind of just remind guys of the humble process. You're always going to get everybody's best shot, especially being in the situation that we're in the top 7, top 8. And, that's what Thunderbird gave us. They're a good swinging team, and we left the door open early in that game and definitely had some chances throughout that. And we just didn't do our job as well as we could. And we kind of got exposed in that one with a tough loss, but it kind of humbles you to this idea that we've got to be our best and play our best. And games are winnable if we do our job. And so you just hit the reset button a little bit on just keeping it simple and just recognizing execution is when we play our game and we execute, we're a tough team to beat. And we just didn't execute well enough that day, and Thunderbird did a little bit better job than us. And so we just reminded and go back to the process about keeping it simple. So that's kind of the mindset of this week's practices leading into a tough stretch next week.
Yeah, the team has 3 games in 3 days this next week, one of those being a road trip to South Point Catholic. When you play up against teams in 5A and 6A like you do this week, how does the approach change for the team?
It doesn't. I got to be honest, I love the tough schedule. I love playing guys in our area. I mean, anybody can say what they want. Rivalry games are always fun, and Shop and DM, great coaching staffs, great programs. And we like to put ourselves in that same category. It's fun for the guys to play guys that they know and grew up with. Don't ever let anybody tell you a rivalry doesn't add a little bit more fire. But even South Point at the end, Preble and the reigning champions of 4A are going to be a good test for us. And I just remind guys to take one day at a time. We can only focus on what's in front of us. It's going to show us how good we are. And there's no better playoff preparation than seeing some really good arms and some really good clubs and hopefully playing some really good baseball. And so that's kind of the mindset, is just a day at a time. But I didn't adjust our schedule for a reason. It's going to be a really good test, and I think hopefully playoff prepare us. And that's the idea, is be ready for when it counts.
And not only is it those 3 games in 3 days, but it's against 3 extremely tough teams. You talk about the rivalry with Chaparral, but they're also a top 8 team in 6A, South Point, the reigning 4A champs, and then Desert Mountain, who's always one of the best programs in the state. How does that the level of competition sort of challenge your boys right before playoffs start?
Oh, I love it. We're in playoff mentality, and hopefully we rise to the occasion. The whole mindset here is, yes, it's going to be extra, emotion, if you will, but it's trying not to be too emotional in the situation. It's just keeping the game simple. We still got to play catch, still take good swings, but Coach Gerlach does a fantastic job over at Shap, and Coach Dyer does a great job at DM, and those programs are going to be prepared to go out and get ready for their playoff push. And so, that's going to be the fun of it is playing guys that I know well and programs that I know are really successful, and as are we, and that's what we're going to try to showcase is how prepared we are for that playoff push. But if you want to be the best, you got to kind of play the best, and that's what I love about our schedule. I think we have one of the toughest schedules in Arizona, and I like it that way. If we're going to be successful, it's because we're going to kind of go through that gauntlet and be ready to have success when it counts.
And Coach, kind of to wrap it up a little bit, now that the season is kind of coming to an end, I was hoping to take it back and ask what the preseason looked like for this year. How did the team get to this point, being ranked in the top 10 in 4A for what seems like every week?
No, I love that. It was a really interesting off season, to say the least, and that's a great question. I mean, due to just COVID stuff and different types of protocols, we didn't have a typical off season. It was kind of really hit and miss, and on a couple weeks, off a couple weeks, and following obviously the guidelines that are in front of us, kind of left us with some broken practices as far as not having everybody together at certain times. So it was a little bit of a challenge, and I told our guys yesterday, if you would have told me we would have been in the top 10 for most of the year and going into our home stretch here, ranked 7th and in the position we are, I would have been all in with my chips. So I love that these guys came together, grew as a group, and competed. And that's all I can ever ask. Give me your best attitude and effort, and the rest will take care of itself, because we prepare them pretty well, and these guys go out and play the way they're capable. So the off season was a challenge, but we overcame it, and we came together, and that's what this season's shown us, is that we've been really successful with a group of guys that have bought in. And as a coach, that's all you can ask for, is a group that says, let's go with what we got, and let's go get better every day.
You are listening to the Sabercat Report with Ryan and Sammy and Saguaro Sabercats head baseball coach Joe Mickey. Coach Mickey, we'll talk to you next week. We're going to bring on your two-sport athlete, 5-star athlete, Miles Crutchley, a junior. Miles, how you doing?
You guys doing?
All right, man. Quite a season.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, first, just how does it feel to be back? And more specifically, how did it feel to get that double in what I think was your first at-bat back?
Yeah, it feels great to be back. It was tough being out for as long as I was, but whatever I can do to help the team win, I'm hoping to do that. So it's just great and fun to be out there with the guys again. So.
And we just talked to Coach Mickey about how you have 3 games in 3 days coming up next week.
Yes, sir.
Against 3 tough opponents. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's going to be a really fun week. It'll really prepare us for playoffs, and I know a bunch of guys at Shap and DM, so that will be fun to play all of them. And they think they're better than us, but it'll be good to show them that we're not as bad as we're pretty good too. So, I mean, it'll just be a fun week.
Yeah, and to kind of change course a little bit, I understand you're doing a very good job in the classroom as well. How has the pandemic changed how you have to go about things as a student?
I mean, it's just a different approach, I guess. Just making sure you're staying on top of your schoolwork. Just making sure you're always going to class, because I mean, some of it was online, knowing when your classes are, and just doing all your homework and schoolwork and just keeping up with that. So, I mean, it hasn't been too big of a change, but definitely it's different. So.
And obviously, the pandemic didn't just change how you go about the classroom, but also the off season, which we talked about with Coach. What was that like as a player to experience what would have been a pretty odd off season?
Yeah, it was just crazy. With football the way it ended, it was obviously tough, but it's just been great to still be out here, and just I'm thankful that we've even had a season. And then just, I mean, you just had to get working on your own, and I mean, can't take anything for granted.
Miles, I actually have a question for you. Sorry, I was muted there. I wanted to make sure that that you could hear these guys clearly. So tell us. So how does it feel? How do you balance two sports? I mean, you're maintaining. This is crazy. Coach told me you had a 4.8 GPA. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, it's just time management, really, and just making sure just staying on top of everything with your teachers and just making sure you're still working hard at home. And I mean, it's always how it's been for me. So, I mean, I'm just used to it, I guess.
All right. Last question, and we'll make this one a quick one. What's it going to be in college? What are you going to play?
We'll see, but I mean, I think right now it'll probably end up being football, but
okay.
But
all right.
It just depends on what opportunities I have because I'm still open to playing baseball or even both. So, I mean, we'll just see what happens.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on a great season. It's not over yet. You got 3 more here in the regular season, and then we'll see what the postseason looks like. Miles Crutchley, Jr., Saguaro Sabercats, looking forward, and the scholar athlete at that, looking forward to covering you as well going into your senior year in football, as we'll be the official voice for the Sabercat football team. Thanks again, Miles. Thanks, Sammy and Ryan. You guys have a great week, and thanks Coach Mickey.